Hey there, and welcome to Authentically ADHD. I'm your host, Carmen, and I am so glad that you're here. This is a podcast where we get real about ADHD. No filters, no judgment, a safe space to explore and learn and grow. If you're here, it's because you want to take a deep dive into the world of ADHD, and trust me, we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Now, you're probably wondering, why did I start this podcast? Well, in true ADHD fashion, it all started very impulsively. One day, I thought, I should start a podcast, especially with all this paperwork that I have and all these notes that I have trying to understand my own ADHD. And the next thing I knew, here I am, sharing thoughts with you. I don't know, 200, 100 episodes later? I don't know. I lose track of time. I'm time blind. Are you? Anyways, when you have ADHD, ideas come fast, and sometimes you just gotta roll with them. Honestly, this podcast was born out of my passion for understanding ADHD in a deeper way with the newest research. You see, pills don't teach skills. That's something I've learned over the years. Medication can help, and it's a great tool to use, but true growth, that comes from knowledge, understanding, and actionable skills. And so that's what I want to share with you. Research-backed insights, practical tips, and lived experiences of someone who's been there. Now, a little bit about me. I'm not just a host of this podcast. I'm also an early childhood special education teacher, which means I've spent years understanding how children learn, grow, and thrive in ways that work for them, especially when they're neurodiverse. And I'm also a certified life and performance coach, guiding people to unlock their full potential in both their personal and professional lives. But here's the thing that makes me a little different. I'm also a late diagnosed ADHDer. And on top of that, I self-identify as being on the autism spectrum. So when I talk about ADHD, it's not just from a professional perspective, it's from lived experience, because I get it. I know what it's like to feel like your brain is running at full speed while everyone else is moving at a different pace, and you have instructions that are in Japanese and upside down, and everybody else got them in their own language. Throughout this podcast, I'll share all kinds of insights about navigating life with ADHD, from the everyday struggles to the strengths that we can celebrate. We'll talk about everything from time management to relationships to self-advocacy, and all about how to live authentically in a world that often asks us to be anything but. Whether you have ADHD yourself or you want to understand it better, you are in the right place. So, let's get started. Hi, my friend, and welcome back to Authentically ADHD. I'm Carmen, a late diagnosed ADHDer, certified life and performance coach, and early childhood special education teacher. You're tuning into a solo episode where the chaos of ADHD meets self-acceptance, growth, and a whole lot of authenticity. And today we're diving into a topic head first. Probably at the last minute, let's be honest. It's a topic that many of us know way too well: procrastination. This episode is titled ADHD and Procrastination, Understanding the Cycle and Breaking Free. Now, if you've ever found yourself, like starting your taxes at 11:47 p.m. on April 14th, or suddenly developing an urgent need to reorganize your entire fridge instead of answering that one pesky email, yeah, you're definitely in the right place. No judgment. I may or may not have written part of this script while also color coding my snack pantry. Okay, right? All right. So, in true ADHD fashion, we're going to keep it conversational, a bit funny and sarcastic, yet professional, on brand for me. So grab a comfy seat or go ahead and pace around the room if you need to fidget, and let's unpack why adults with ADHD are so prone to procrastination, and more importantly, how we can break out of that cycle. We'll get into some brain science in plain English, I promise, share some 2 relatable stories, and lay out a game plan of strategies, from chunking tasks into bite-sized pieces to hacking our dopamine and embracing our growth mindset. at the end and by the end, I hope you'll have understood and that you'll have feel understood, that you feel empowered and equipped to tackle that task that you've been avoiding. Yes, that one. We all have one. Now, I also have in the show notes a reflection guide, which goes over the key concepts of this podcast episode and ends with a good amount of reflection questions and to help you stop procrastinating. So the questions should help guide you through this episode with questions added in to help you to stop procrastination. All right, are you ready? Let's take a deep breath. Remember, this is a judgment-free zone. Procrastination is not about laziness or lack of willpower. In fact, as we'll see, it has a lot to do with how the ADHD brain is wired. So, are you ready to explore the world of ADHD procrastination? Let's do this. Well, or at least talk about doing it. Hey there, my ADHD tribe. I have an offer for you. Do you ever feel like you're constantly juggling, but somehow always dropping the ball? You're not alone. We've all been there. I struggle still to manage time, stay organized, and to keep track of the never-ending to-do list. I'm Carmen, and I get it. Trust me, that's why I have created Thriving Authentically with ADHD. Executive Functions and Coping Strategies. It's a course designed to help you take control of your ADHD brain instead of letting it control you. But here's the kicker. It's not just a course. It's a journey. For only $25, you'll get access to about 3 hours of exclusive ADHD-friendly content that breaks down the executive functions in simple terms and explains why our ADHD brain works in the way that it does. And most executive functions, most importantly, it'll teach you practical, research-backed coping strategies that you can start using today. From working memory struggles to time blindness to emotional regulation, we cover it all. Plus, you'll get a workbook in your email packed with interactive exercises to help you reflect on your own ADHD journey, track your progress, and apply what you've learned at your own pace. But that's not all. You also will get 2 personalized coaching sessions where we can dive into your specific challenges and create strategies that work for you. No more one-size-fits-all solutions, just real, authentic, tailored support. And the best part, you get all this for just $25. That's less than a cost of a meal out. Plus, with my proven strategies, you can start improving your executive function skills in no time. Imagine finally understanding your ADHD brain and learning how to thrive and not just survive. Don't wait too long. The spots are limited. Sign up today and let's get started on your journey to thriving authentically with ADHD. Alrighty, first things first. Why the heck do we procrastinate so much, especially when we know it's going to stress us out later? If you have ADHD, you might feel like you're constantly fighting yourself. One part of you desperately wants to get things done, yet another part of you is like a toddler throwing a tantrum, screaming, "No, I don't wanna." In fact, one psychologist described procrastination as a petulant 6-year-old living in all of us whose catchphrase is, "I don't wanna." Relatable? Absolutely, at least for me. Turns out procrastination in ADHD is not a character flaw or a time management issue. It's deeply rooted in our brain's neurology. So let's break down the biggest culprits behind the procrastination cycle for ADHD brains. First up, time blindness. Ever had deadlines sneak up on you as if time itself did like a magic trick? One day, a due date feels ages away, and then suddenly it's tomorrow, and you're in full panic mode. Many of us with ADHD experience time blindness, which is a distorted sense of time. We struggle to sense how quickly or how slowly time is passing and to estimate how long things are going to actually take. Essentially, in the ADHD brain, time often exists in two forms: now and not now, or now and way later in the future. And if something isn't now, it barely exists in our minds. It's until it's almost too late and that adrenaline gets you going. But studies show this isn't laziness and it's not denial. It's a genuine neurological quirk that we have. For example, research indicates people with ADHD can misjudge time intervals significantly, which leads to underestimating task durations and overestimating how much time is left. No wonder we think we have plenty of time to start that project until, whoops, we don't. This is time blindness, and it often results in tasks being put off until the last minute, followed by that familiar adrenaline-fueled scramble, hello 3 a.m. project rush. It's like our brain hits snooze again and again on a task repeatedly until suddenly the alarm blares and the snooze button's broken. Then there's the executive function challenges that we are so familiar with. Those functions that, help us be a functional adult. So alongside that wonky time perception that ADHD comes with, it also comes with a hefty dose of executive dysfunction, meaning the brain's self-management system is not firing on all cylinders. Actually, it's not even firing on half the cylinders. Executive functions are those skills that help us plan, organize, prioritize, and start tasks. Basically, our mental project manager. If you have ADHD, your inner project manager is on a perpetual coffee break or off talking somewhere. Research shows and points out that difficulties with planning, organization, and prioritization make it really hard to break down tasks into manageable steps or create structured routines in order to get that done, which in turn makes starting tasks feel like standing at the base of Mount Everest. It's so overwhelming. For example, instead of seeing a report as a series of small steps, like an outline, intro, decide how you're going to go along, we see one huge scary blob of ugh, I don't wanna. And because we struggle to prioritize, everything feels urgent and important all at once, which often leads to doing none of it. Ever sat down to start doing task A, but then thought about task B and then task C, ended up doing part of task Z, or just shutting down entirely? Yep, that is definitely executive function in action. And the result? We procrastinate. But not because we're careless, but because our brain genuinely has trouble orchestrating the steps and the focus that is needed. Then there is the ever so famous dopamine dysregulation. Oh, dopamine, our brain's quote-unquote feel-good motivation molecule. This is a huge piece of the ADHD puzzle, chemically speaking. ADHD brains often have a lower baseline levels of dopamine. That's meaning to start off with. And why does this matter? Dopamine is what makes activities feel rewarding or interesting. So in a brain that's understimulated, tasks that are boring, routine, or lack immediate reward can feel like literally painful to begin. And there's no instant hit of dopamine to entice your brain to keep going. It's like our motivation engine is idling on low fuel. And especially when things are boring, there's actually brain science that actually shows that when we as ADHDers engage in boring tasks, fMRI studies show that the same signals that elicit, like they light up when you're in literal physical pain, those same receptors light up for us when we have to do boring tasks. One 2024 article put it perfectly. With lower dopamine, tasks without instant gratification seem unappealing and uninteresting. We struggle to start them. Instead, the brain craves something or anything that will give us a quick dopamine boost. That's why you might find it hard, or might find yourself suddenly scrolling TikTok, playing a video game, or eating a snack instead of doing that dull assignment or answering emails. Your brain is subconsciously seeking a quick reward to top up dopamine. Essentially, procrastination becomes a way to escape understimulation. We put off boring tasks and gravitate towards activities that are inherently more stimulating. The downside, of course, is that the important tasks don't get done until urgency or stress finally floods us with enough neurochemicals to push us through the last minute. It's a messy system, but it's kind of how many ADHD brains cope. Picture your brain as a mischievous monkey demanding treats. No work. Give me dopamine. Until the zookeeper ends up in panic, shows up with a stick. Not the happiest dynamic, but it's very, very common. So you're not alone there. Then, let's add on emotional dysregulation. And something I haven't talked about before. Task anxiety. Procrastination isn't just a thinking issue, it's emotional as well. If a task makes us feel a certain way, like anxious, or frustrated, or insecure, avoiding it is our brain's way of avoiding those negative emotions. You know, our brain's way of avoiding something. They think they're protecting us. Our brains think they're protecting us. They really do, I promise. But they do a really bad job because we no longer live in caveman times. So this is why some experts say procrastination is more about an emotion management than time management. Think about it. When faced with, say, writing a difficult email or starting a huge project, you might feel overwhelmed. You might feel afraid that you're going to do it wrong, or just really annoyed at the tedious task. These feelings are uncomfortable. So what do? We dodge the task and dodge the feelings. It's a short-term relief. Phew. No stress right now. But as the task lingers unfinished, the stress and the shame pile up, which makes us feel even worse the next time that we have to think about it. Cue the vicious cycle. We procrastinate, feel guilty or anxious, then procrastinate more to escape those feelings. For ADHD folks, emotional regulation is often a challenge. We feel things strongly and can be easily overwhelmed by frustration or self-doubt. For example, if you've ever waited so long to reply to a message that now you're actually too embarrassed to reply at all, so you're avoiding it, you know exactly what I mean and what I'm talking about. Or maybe you delay starting a project because you're thinking it triggers, like the thinking about it triggers anxiety or perfectionism. This is the task anxiety I'm talking about. It's a project that's something you haven't done before. It's something that's due and is important for a boss that's, maybe a little bit critical. What if I can't do it right? Procrastination gives us temporarily relief from that anxiety. The irony is that relief is temporary and the stress comes back with a vengeance later, usually at 2 a.m. when you're still awake and panicking, or you awaken suddenly panicking. Then there's the perfectionism pressure. This one's a bit of a paradox. How can I be a perfectionist if I also procrastinate so much? But it happens, and procrastination is a big part of perfectionism. Some of us ADHDers are perfect procrastinators in part because we care too much. We set ridiculously high standards for ourselves, and that if the task isn't just right, then we don't want to put it out in the world. The task can't just be write a report. It becomes write the most amazing report in the history of reports. And that pressure is paralyzing. You think, I can't do it perfectly. I might as well just not do it yet. So perfection flies out the window anyway. Classic, right? Does it sound familiar? While perfectionism isn't exclusive to ADHD, it can intensify our procrastination struggles. And it ties into emotional factors like fear or failure or imposter syndrome. The result, yet another reason why we might delay starting or finishing something, because we're subconsciously dreading not living up to our unrealistic ideal. Okay, so to recap this rogues gallery: time blindness, executive function glitches, dopamine hunger, emotional avoidance, and even perfectionism all tag team to create a perfect storm for procrastination. Importantly, this is not because we're lazy or we don't care. In fact, many of us care a lot, which is why we beat ourselves up when we procrastinate. But understanding these underlying factors is step one to changing things. Like, oh, it's not that I'm an inept adult that just sucks at life. My brain's literally wired to struggle with this. And there's some relief in that insight. At least I hope there is. There was for me. So if you've been stuck in the procrastination cycle, take a breath. You are not alone, and you're certainly not a lost cause. Our brains might be a little different, but once we know how to work with them, we can start to break that cycle. In the next segment, we're going to explore exactly that. How to hack our ADHD brains and set ourselves up for success, one tiny small win at a time. I also want to mention, again, that I do have that guide in the show notes that you can access to help you reflect as this goes. Before we jump into those solutions, I'm going to share a quick personal story because nothing says ADHD procrastination like real-life examples from yours truly. So, story time. A real-life, yes, I did that. Let me paint you a picture. It's Tuesday evening. I have an important report due Wednesday morning. I have plenty of time, right? I get home determined to start after dinner. I sit at my desk, open my laptop, and notice that my desk is kind of messy. No biggie, I'll just tidy up first. Can't work in chaos. I start sorting some papers, which leads to dusting the desk, which leads to vacuuming the whole work area. Might as well. Oh, and then over there, my clothes are a mess too. Better organize some of that while I'm at it. Fast forward 2.5 hours and my home office looks fabulous. My report, however, remained untouched. All right, focus. I tell myself, I'll start now. So I open the document and I type a little. Ding, a notification pops up. Someone commented on my Instagram post. Obviously, I need to go check that right now. 20 minutes of scrolling later, I realize that I've been sucked into the social media vortex. I close it in disgust. Why am I like this? Now it's late. I'm tired. Cue the negative self-talk. Why am I such a moron? Why didn't I start earlier? I'm so stupid for wasting all this time. At this point, anxiety swoops in like, hello, heard you needed a rush? Here I am. With anxiety pounding in my chest, I finally crank out the report at midnight, fueled by stress, caffeine, and sheer desperation. The next morning, I'm exhausted and swearing I'll never procrastinate again. Sound familiar? This was a fairly tame example. I could tell you about the time that I delayed renewing my car registration until I practically imagined myself on the run from the law, basically. Or when I had 3 months to prepare a workshop and I didn't start until 48 hours before. That was a fun weekend. Or, about the time that I procrastinated doing end-of-year reports until the last week of school. Seriously, this stuff is not fun and it's not helpful, okay? The struggle is real. And if you're laughing right now, I'm laughing with you, and I'm feeling the pain that's behind it as well. We, as ADHDers, often cope with humor because otherwise we would cry, or laugh and cry at the same time. I've been there. Either way, it's about feeling these emotions as well. Being relatable is something that helps when you feel like you're the only one who procrastinates or talks to yourself this way. And when I'm on this side of the podcast giving you tips and strategies, I don't want you to think that I can follow all these things and that I don't fall into procrastination cycles like you all do, because I do. I want you to feel relatable to me. Otherwise, it's just like you're listening to somebody that you think has handled their ADHD so perfectly. And I haven't. A lot of my procrastination stories are from before I was medicated. Medication is a big, helpful tool, and that's why I do recommend it a lot. So, after that little tangent in my story time, the reason that I share all this is to highlight a typical procrastination cycle that many of us with ADHD fall into. Number 1, intend to start. Today's the day. We often want to start early. Then number 2, we get sidetracked or overwhelmed, either by distractions, suddenly finding 10 other quote-unquote important things we need to do. Hello, time to reorganize the fridge. Like, who does that? Literally only an ADHDer who is avoiding a task they don't want to do. And then number 3, delay. Hours or days pass, the deadline gets closer, and the task looms larger, and guilt and anxiety start to creep in. 4, last minute crunch. Finally, panic mode doesn't creep in, it knocks you upside your head. The adrenaline is a harsh but effective metaphor. We hyperfocus and finish the task in a flurry, often at odd hours. Number 5, relief and regret. We made it. Phew, but the cost. It was stress. The cost was lost sleep, and maybe even subpar quality. We tell ourselves, I can't keep doing this, and vow to change. Then the cycle eventually repeats itself in the next big task. Breaking the cycle is easier said than done. Trust me, I know, but it is possible. And it starts with a mix of self-compassion. Seriously, you gotta stop calling yourself lazy and calling yourself names. Your brain is doing its best here. And then also practical strategies that play into our strengths and work around our challenges. So, let's get into these strategies and solutions, shall we? And if you're thinking, Carmen, I'm procrastinating what I'm supposed to be doing right now by listening to a podcast about procrastination. I see you, but kudos for making your procrastination at least semi-productive. This is self-improvement, okay? So, next, we'll get into the science-backed strategies served up with some sass. But first, a word from our sponsors. Hey there. If you're looking for a game changer in managing your ADHD, let me tell you about something that's made a huge impact on my life. Focused, the adult ADHD group coaching program by Kristen Carter. This isn't just another program. It's a community. It's a roadmap. It's a lifeline for adults with ADHD who want to thrive. Inside of Focus, you'll find weekly coaching calls with Kristen packed with actionable insights, a supportive community of adults who get it. They get what it's like to live with ADHD. You'll get tools and strategies that actually work for our brains. No fluff, just real results. I've been a part of Focus for over a year, and let me tell you, it's where I've learned so much of what I share with you on Authentically ADHD. It's been a game changer for me, and I think it could be for you too. And here's the best part. If you use my link to join, we both save money. It's a win-win. So if you've been looking for the right ADHD support, this is your sign to check it out. Head to the link in my show notes to learn more and sign up. Let's thrive together with tools and support that we need to succeed. Are you also loving what we're doing on Authentically ADHD but want to take your experience to the next level? Well, I have got something for you. Introducing the Authentically ADHD Patreon, your VIP pass to the ultimate ADHD support hub. As a Patreon member, you'll unlock exclusive perks like early access to every single episode, hear it before anyone else does, a treasure trove of resources that I've made, tools, guides, and worksheets to help you thrive in everyday aspects of life, direct coaching opportunities with me designed to help you harness your ADHD powers, and the cherry on top, an incredible community of like-minded individuals who just get it. You're not alone on this journey, and together we can be unstoppable. By joining Patreon, you're not just supporting the podcast, you're fueling a movement. Together, we're breaking stigmas, embracing authenticity, and creating a world where ADHD is seen as a strength and not just a struggle. So what are you waiting for? Head over to patreon.com/authenticallyADHD and join the family today. Let's keep growing, thriving, and showing up authentically together. Hope to see you over there. Back to the show. All right, now that we have gone over what procrastination can look like, why we do it, and that it's really not our fault, and that it's really a part of the ADHD brain science, we're going to explore several research-supported techniques to help you overcome procrastination, or at least give that 6-year-old in your brain a gentle nudge towards getting stuff done. The goal is to make the tasks feel smaller, more manageable, and yes, even more rewarding. For all that dopamine-hungry brain of ours, all right? Remember, these are tools. You don't have to use all of them at once, and you don't even have to keep all of them. All right? We don't need 3 screwdrivers. If one of them is working fine, you don't need to try and make it more difficult. Try a couple that resonate with you and see what sticks. Progress over perfection. Okay? Okay. Let's go. Number 1, chunk it down. Tiny steps equal big wins. Big tasks are the enemy when you have ADHD. Looking at a huge project or an overflowing to-do list can trigger instant overwhelm or shutdown. The antidote, chunking. This means breaking down tasks into bite-sized, manageable pieces. It sounds almost insultingly simple, but believe me, it works. Research and ADHD coaches alike emphasize that when you make a task smaller, it's less scary to start, and you get more frequent dopamine hits of accomplishment for each part that you finish. In fact, achieving even the smallest tasks and oh gosh, even when you achieve the small goals that are related to the bigger task, it releases dopamine and gives you a sense of progress, exactly what our brains need to stay motivated. So, instead of write my 10-page report of that story I told earlier, a chunked plan of that might have been write an outline. Just write 1 paragraph of the introduction. Jot down 3 bullet points for each section. Find 2 references or sources for each section. Yes, each of those is a mini task that you can check off. Boom, instant victory. And yes, I do recommend literally checking it off a list, maybe doing a tiny celebratory dance. Celebrate your small wins. Give yourself a high five. We'll talk more about why that's important for ADHD brains in a little bit. But breaking tasks down also makes it easier to start because it answers the where do I even begin question. You begin with the very first tiny step, no matter how trivial. As one guide puts it, don't say, I'm going to finish the entire project now. Instead, say, I'm going to open the computer and I'm going to work on this specific subtask next. Maybe something like, I'll read just 5 pages instead of the whole article right now. Concrete small actions are key. They create momentum, and even a little progress can spark motivation to do more. And if it doesn't, hey, at least you did some small progress, and it can spark motivation to do more later. And even if it doesn't, hey, at least you did that one small thing. It's better than nothing. Quick story. I once had to declutter my insane ADHD mess of a basement. For months, I procrastinated because cleaning the basement felt endless. So I tried chunking. Day 1, I told myself to just clean 1 area. That's it. I did it. Dopamine bump. It felt good. Day 2, another small section. Some days I did more once I got going, and some days I didn't. But within 2 weeks, it was done. My basement was clean, and it wasn't a nightmare that I'd imagined it was. And it's a place that was really important for me to do what I needed to do, because in my basement is where my workspace is, my clothes, and it's where I get ready, put on makeup and all that. It's also where I relax. I have a TV down here, okay? It's a multi-use space because I still, yes, live at home with my parents. So my areas are down in the basement. But this task only became doable when I shrank it down. So remember, whenever you feel paralyzed by a task, ask myself, how can I make this smaller? Tiny steps for the win. 2. Time blocking and visual scheduling. Make time tangible and make it flexible. Since our sense of time is wibbly-wobbly at best, one of the most powerful tools is to externalize time. Basically, get it out of your head and onto something you can see or hear. This is where time blocking and visual scheduling come in. Time blocking means deciding when you'll do something and for how long, and literally blocking that out on a calendar or schedule. Visual scheduling could involve using a planner, sticky note, timelines, a whiteboard, whatever format helps you see your plan. I actually use both. I handwrite my plan, and I also use Sunsama, which is an app that you do have to pay for it. I do pay for it. This is not a sponsorship or anything, but I use Sunsama because it's easy. It, what is the word? It syncs up with my Google Calendar, and I can put my tasks and my reminders in there. And it's really easy to make it flexible. Like, I can move tasks around. If I don't feel like doing a task in a certain part of a day, I can move a task that I do want to do in that part of the day and move the other task to later. Now, this can get dangerous because you can keep putting it off until the due date again, but making it flexible also helps with the novelty for our ADHD brains. So why does this help? For one, it combats the now versus not now issue by turning not now into tasks and to specific appointments with yourself. For example, instead of I'll do that report sometime tomorrow, you block tomorrow 10 to 11 a.m. outline report. That makes it a concrete plan and not just an imaginary wish. A lot of the times, us ADHDers have to pull ourselves out of fantasy and back into reality. Research suggests that using calendars, planners, and alarms can help keep us on track and compensate for our poor internal clock. The Attention Deficit Disorder Association recommends that these kinds of external time management aids, from setting reminders to building in buffer time for tasks, basically, we need extra scaffolding around time. So here are some more for scaffolding your time management, right? So schedule it and protect it. Put tasks on your calendar as if they are meetings. And when the time comes, treat it like a meeting. If someone tries to steal that time, you can say, sorry, I have a commitment then. They don't need to know the commitment was with you and an Excel spreadsheet or, your microphone and a recording app. Use visual timers. I'm telling you, this could be an analog clock, a digital timer on your phone, or apps that show a pie chart of ticking down. Sunsama also does this. It's like a little green bar, and it gets small in the corner of my screen right now. It's actually telling me how much time I have left in my podcast time block, right? This helps really physically see the time passing. I also keep my headphones on because it also has a ding for 10 minutes before I need to finish, 5 minutes before I need to finish, and for when I need to finish and pack up and be done. Also, I don't put the tasks right next to each other. You need to put buffer time in between them. Then, while you are working, a popular ADHD-friendly method is a Pomodoro technique. It's a work in short focus bursts, traditionally 25 minutes, but I do 60, and then traditionally taking a 5-minute break, but I do 15 or 20. And each burst is like a tomato, a Pomodoro timer. This works wonders for a lot of us because 25 minutes feels doable, and the break is always in sight. It also creates a sense of urgency in a fun way. Studies have noted that these timed intervals can prevent overwhelm and help maintain motivation. Many ADHD folks tweak the timing, maybe 15 minutes if your work, or 15 minutes if you're really struggling, or 45 if you're on a roll. Find your sweet spot. I told you mine, 60 and 15 or 20. Yours might be 45 and 10 to 15, or something completely different. Using visual cues along with auditory cues, like a big wall calendar, a color coding in your schedule, which, by the way, Sunsama also helps you color code, or Post-its on your desk. Anything visual that helps remind you what's next, what's due when, and all those things. Somewhere you can reference, because our brain cannot hold all of those priorities in mind. So if we offload it to the environment, personally, I love visual timers that show that, little thing going down, shrinking as time passing, making the time left feel like a tangible thing. Also, countdowns to deadlines like a paper chain or widget can help turn not now into, oh, it's coming soon. I can literally see it concrete. Another thing is include buffer time. We notoriously underestimate how long things take. So a good rule is to pad your schedule with a bit of extra time for each task or time in between for transition. And if you think something's going to take an hour, maybe block an hour and a half, maybe even 2. Worst case, you finish early and have free time. Imagine that. Best case, you avoid crunch time because you planned for reality. And yes, life happens and we won't always be able to follow our schedules perfectly. I'm perfectly aware with that. And that's okay. I don't want you to shame yourself for that. The act of planning at least gives you a roadmap. And if you veer off, you can always see how to get back on. Without any plan, you're basically driving in the dark with no headlights. Okay? With a plan, you've got at least some street lights, so give your brain that support. Quick personal tip. I use a planner that has hourly slots and washi tape to block out chunks. It makes it almost like a game to fill in, plus it looks pretty. Sometimes the little things like cool stationery can trick me into using the tools more. Whatever works, my friend. I am also a personal lover of racing the timer. I love turning in things into games, okay? If you turn something into a competition, your ADHD brain's going to want to win. I don't know why, but racing the timer for me works with tedious, boring tasks that I don't have to focus on a lot. Yeah, that was English. Okay, let's get to the next one. Number 3, implement your intentions. This is referred to as the if-then hack. I use this with myself, and I use this with my students. The strategy has a fancy name, but it's pretty straightforward, and it's super effective. Implementation intentions. Basically, making a specific if-then plan for when and where you'll do a thing. For my preschoolers, it looks like this. If you clean up, 5 blocks, then you can go paint at the easel. It gives them a concrete visual, like a thing to do before they can go do the thing they want to do. For adults, it works better as using it for think of like pre-programming your brain with a cue. For example, if it's 8 p.m. and I finish dinner, then I will spend 20 minutes replying to emails. The formula is, if and when X happens, then I will do Y. You could also use it as an if-then the way I use for my preschoolers. If I finish my 20 minutes replying to emails, focused block, then I will reward myself. But that's for people who are a little bit further along in the journey, and I want to make this accessible for everybody. So why bother with doing this? Studies show that having a concrete if-then plan significantly increases follow-through on tasks, especially for those we tend to procrastinate. In fact, over 100 peer-reviewed studies have demonstrated the effectiveness of implementation intentions for beating procrastination and sticking to the goals that we set. It's like setting an automatic trigger for your behavior, which helps because we can't always rely on sheer willpower in the moment. Our impulsive brain can hijack us, as we know. So an if-then is deciding in advance when you're cool-headed in a state of focus, and it automates the action when the situation occurs. To make this cue work, you have to make the cue very specific. Here's a bad example. When I have time tomorrow, I'll work on this project. That is way too vague for your ADHD brain, so it will just ignore it. A good example is, when I sit down with my morning coffee at 7 a.m., I'll spend 15 minutes outlining that project. Here, sitting down with coffee at 7 is a clear cue. You do this every day, so tie the new task to it. It's kind of like using habit stacking in a different way. In 15 minutes, outlining, that's the clear action. small and specific. Research suggests that more specific you are about the time and place, the better. Also, trying the action to, tying it to an existing routine or cue, like finishing your coffee or arriving to the office or later at, after your 2 p.m. meeting ends, helps because that cue will definitely happen. So you're piggybacking the desired task onto something reliable. So you don't have to remember to initiate. It's cued by context. Another tip from the research is make the action itself concrete. Then I will work on my novel is a bit too open-ended. Then I will write 100 words of my novel is better. It's clear, and you know when you're done. And 100 words sounds less intimidating, right? Often you start and you do more. But always give yourself permission to stop after the planned bit. And if you keep going, great. If not, you still succeeded in doing what you intended. Let me share with you how I use this. I had a bad habit of putting off grading the students, rewards, doing their reports. Sorry, guys. So I made an if-then. If it's a weekday on lunch break, after I eat, I will, do one report or rate one report. Just one. Lo and behold, it worked. Every day around that 12:15, I'd push myself to do just one because I'd pre-decided that was the plan. Often, I'd actually get 2 or 3 done once I started. It's momentum, baby. But the deal with myself was just one. Grading or reporting stopped piling up so massively. It might feel a bit silly to spell this out, our plans, this in this if-then format, but try it. You can even write them down or say them out loud. It can reinforce the intention. You're basically coding your brain's autopilot. As a bonus, when you carry out your if-then plan, give yourself a mental high five. It reinforces that you keep promises to yourself, which builds your self-trust in your own world. Number 4, give yourself dopamine. Top up that dopamine, but in a healthy way. Remember our chat about dopamine dysregulation? Yeah, an ADHD brain is often starved for dopamine, which is why we seek instant hits of fun or novelty and procrastinate on the boring stuff. So an important strategy is to feed your brain dopamine and word in a healthy, intentional way. Think of it like giving a hyper puppy a toy before it chews up your shoes or the cords to your computer. Satisfy the need so it doesn't wreck things. In this case, it'll be wrecking our schedule. So here are some research-backed ways to boost dopamine or generally make tasks more stimulating. I alluded to this one earlier, but make it a game or a race. Gamify the task. Can you turn the boring paperwork into a challenge? How many forms can I complete in 20 minutes? Let's set a timer and find out. This adds urgency and novelty. Even a silly reward, like a sticker chart, which I do use, or point to systems that can engage that reward pathway. So anything that you can check off, add a sticker to, fill in the circle. The key is to create that immediate stakes for gratification where none exist naturally. Some ADHD folks literally compete with themselves or a friend on mundane tasks. It sounds childish. I promise. I know. I felt like a child. But it works. And if it works, who cares? Who cares? Nobody else knows you're doing this. This is for you, not anyone else. The next one is to use music and sound. Music can be magic for ADHD, so playing music or ambient sounds or a podcast while you work can make it more enjoyable and help you focus by providing a baseline of level of stimulation. Studies have found that music can engage our brains even just in modulating dopamine. Do you ever notice how you can power through dishwashing when you're jamming to tunes? Same concept. Make a playlist that energizes you for different tasks. One caution, for tasks that require heavy concentration or reading, silence is usually ideal, or instrumental music, white noise, or lo-fi. Those things might be better than catchy lyrics that you might write into the thing that you're focusing on, like a report or a podcast. But you do you. I know people who love to write code while blasting heavy metal. Find your focus soundtrack and soundtrack them out. Make them different playlists for different things. I have an exercise playlist. I have a mental work playlist. I have a boring tasks playlist. make yours your own. Then another one is exercise, even briefly. We can call it movement to make it less daunting, because this is huge. Physical activity boosts dopamine and other feel-good transmitters significantly, almost exactly similar to what a stimulant medication does. And you don't need to run a marathon. A 5 or 10 minute brisk walk, a quick dance party in your room, a set of jumping jacks, all of that can help. If you're stuck in a procrastination funk, try a quick movement burst. It can jumpstart your brain. Some people will actually do a workout before tackling dreaded tasks to get the dopamine flowing. It can improve your mood, focus, and motivation. Research consistently shows exercise is the most beneficial, natural, medication or treatment for ADHD. In part, thanks to that neurochemical boost that it gives us. Another thing you can do is buddy up or body double. Okay, the user didn't explicitly list this, but I'll sneak it in because it's dopamine-ish. Doing a task alongside someone who can, that can make it more stimulating and keep you accountable. It could be co-working in the same room or on a session on Zoom or even being on the phone. Having someone in the room with you or just in your presence can help you do the thing. The social pressure adds stimulation and builds a little bit of pressure not to wander off. Many of us swear by body doubling to get stuff done. I do know that the ADHD love couple invented this app called Dubbii, D-U-B-I-I, and it's literally a body doubling app. I haven't downloaded it because I'm a part of Focused, as you heard in the break, and there's body doubling in that app. So I'm not going to double pay for it, but if you want something that's just body doubling, that app is perfect. Then there's rewarding yourself intentionally. Setting up a reward system for or after or during your tasks, it's not childish, it's effective. For example, after 30 minutes of work, treat yourself to 10 minutes of your favorite YouTube channel. Or promise yourself a tasty snack after you finish a certain section. The trick is to make the reward proportional. Bigger task completed, bigger reward. Some therapists even suggest writing down your rewards or tracking your progress of your project with stickers or something visually so you can see your achievements and how long it's going to be until the treat. For example, when I am done recording this podcast and uploading it to the site I uploaded it to export it, while it's exporting, I get to run to Starbucks. Guess what? Dopamine is already in effect because I'm motivated to get that Starbucks, and I know that exporting takes a few minutes, so going off and getting a coffee is not going to waste much time. Then, last but not least, add novelty and interest wherever possible. Find something intriguing about the task at hand. ADHD brains love novelty and hyperfocus on interesting things. So, if you can tweak a boring task to be novel or personally meaningful, do it. For example, you can turn data entry into a story. Each number I enter is a puzzle piece to solve X, or challenge yourself to do it in a quirkier way. Can I do this task while speaking in a British accent or standing on one foot? Okay. Maybe that's just like to amuse oneself, but you can just use it to amuse yourself. It will help you. The idea is to engage your brain in curiosity or humor to make the task feel less dull. One approach I like and I love to create is a dopamine menu. I have several. Coined by Jessica McCabe of the How to ADHD channel on YouTube. This means having a list of quick, healthy activities that give you a dopamine boost or stress relief. Then, throughout the day, you sprinkle those into your brain to keep it satisfied. For instance, your dopamine menu might include 5-minute dance break, cup of strong coffee, a few yoga stretches, text a friend, call a friend, funny meme. The idea about this is that when you notice your motivation tank is empty or you're gravitating towards procrastination, you deliberately choose something from the menu to recharge before you spiral into an unplanned 2-hour YouTube binge. Because I'm pretty sure you're probably searching Jessica McCabe on YouTube right now. Stop. It's about intentional dopamine versus accidental rabbit holes. By keeping your brain's reward system fed, you reduce the urge to seek stimulation in counterproductive ways. Think of it like keeping a toddler well-fed and napped so they don't have meltdowns. Likewise, a content ADHD brain is less likely to throw a procrastination tantrum. And number 5, mindset matters. This is last, but certainly not least at all. We've tackled the practical stuff. Now we're talking mindset. And this is hugely important for breaking free of this terrible cycle we want to get out of. It's because you're using all these great strategies, but internally still calling yourself a lazy failure moron it's just going to sabotage your progress. We need to treat ourselves with the same understanding and encouragement we'd give to someone that we love. Self-compassion is not just a fluffy little concept. And I used to think that it was all woo-woo and that I just love myself and blah, blah, blah. But it's actually a powerful tool for ADHD and procrastination. When we procrastinate, many of us fall into a shame spiral. Ugh, I did it again. What's wrong with me? I'll never change. That self-criticism might feel deserved, but guess what? It's going to backfire. Beating yourself up triggers your brain's threat response, so you're essentially scaring yourself. You're essentially scaring yourself, making you more anxious and stressed. And you're doing it all yourself in your brain. And when I realized that I was doing this, that I was putting my brain in threat mode, it definitely doesn't want to do hard things. It just wants to hide. One psychologist described how chastising yourself for procrastination actually re-triggers the stress response and keeps you stuck in the procrastination cycle. In contrast, practicing self-compassion and being kind to yourself without all the drama helps soothe the threat so you can move forward from avoidance. Think of it this way. If a child felt bad for messing up, would you yell at them to help motivate them to keep going? Probably not. Like when a kid's learning to walk and they fall down, you don't call them a stupid kid because they don't know how to walk. Most likely that would make them cry or make them give up. We adults aren't much different. We need encouragement, not harshness, to do our best. So what does self-compassion sound like in practice? Something like, okay, I fell behind on a task. It happens. I'm human and I have ADHD and it's all okay. It's a common ADHD challenge. I am not lazy. My brain just needs a different approach. So what can I learn from this and what small step can I take now to improve the situation? It's okay. I'm working on it. This kind of inner dialogue can literally calm your nervous system. It might feel unnatural at first because you're used to the internal beatdowns, but it gets easier with practice, I promise. This is the last time also that I'm going to remind you that there is a reflection guide in the show notes that you can use when you feel these feelings, and it helps remove the shame so that you can actually get back on track. On the podcast, I often say we need to be our own coach or cheerleader, not critic. When you're beating yourself up for beating yourself up, also procrastinating or messing up, try to pause and respond as if it was a dear friend or someone you love. You hopefully would be empathetic. I know it's hard, and I know you're trying, and I believe in you. You've got this. What would help you right now? Give yourself that same kindness and pep talk. It really changes the game. Now let's talk about growth mindset. This is the idea that our abilities and habits are changeable, that we can learn and improve over time. For ADHDers, embracing a growth mindset means that I can develop better strategies and I can improve my habits instead of I'll always be a procrastinator. I'm hopeless. It means adding yet to our self-talk. I haven't figured this out yet. Each slip-up or late task isn't a proof of your inadequacy, it's data. It shows you where something in your system or strategy didn't work, and that's something that you can adjust next time. For example, rather than thinking, I always mess up and I can't do anything on time, reframe it. I struggled with this project, but I'm learning what strategies can better help me. Maybe I need to break it down more next time or ask for help. This was a tough experience, but I can grow from it. Every setback is a stepping stone if you choose to see it that way. Celebrate small victories and effort, not just huge successes. Got your work done for 10 minutes when you felt like doing nothing? That's a win, and give yourself credit for it. ADHD brains thrive on positive reinforcement. Most of the children that I have that have ADHD in my classes I use positive reinforcement, and usually I don't have to add much else because it's motivating. It ties back to progress over perfection. If you want to wait, and you'll be waiting forever. If you're waiting to feel good when everything is 100% and it's perfect and ready and good, seriously, you'll be waiting forever and feeling miserable in the meantime. So instead, let's consciously notice that and celebrate each step forward, no matter how big or small. This creates the positive feedback loop. Progress, pride, motivation, more progress. One more thing I want to stress is progress over perfection is the motto here. Heck, it's the motto for a lot of us with ADHD. Perfectionism will tell you that anything less than perfect is a failure, but a growth mindset tells you that perfectionism is a myth. Progress is what counts, and B- work can change the world. If you did 2 out of your 5 tasks today, it's better than 0. If you procrastinated all week but managed to finally start on one part of a task, that's progress, and you need to acknowledge it. Literally say to yourself, nice, I did that. Over time, these small shifts in your mindset add up. Ask me how I know. You will build confidence that you can change and that you're not defined by your procrastination habits. You can start focusing on solutions instead of beating yourself up about your problems. I want to also encourage self-forgiveness. Many of us carry around guilt. Years of guilt, labels, lazy ones, disorganized. It's heavy stuff. But you are allowed to forgive yourself for being a procrastinator in the past. And now, in this chapter in your life, you're armed with knowledge, strategies, and more compassionate outlook. We have covered a ton today, so we're just going to quickly revisit the highlights, and more importantly, to remind you that there is hope beyond the procrastination loop. So, understanding your brain. You're procrastinating not because you're bad or lazy. It's because of how your ADHD brain processes time, rewards, and emotions. Use strategies that work with your brain, not against them. So use strategies that work. Don't create more work for yourself, please. Self-compassion always. Beating yourself up is officially off the table. Not allowed. It doesn't motivate. It actually debilitates. When you slip up, and you will, we all do, practice talking nicely and kindly to yourself, like a supportive coach or a friend. Replace that, I suck, I'm a moron, I'm always going to fuck up, with, it's okay, I'm going to try a different approach next time. This not only feels better, but it acknowledges that you are actually increasing your resilience and a willingness to re-engage with the task. Seriously, kindness can go a long way. Having a growth mindset every day is a new chance. You're not doomed to repeat the past forever. Start saying not yet instead of never. Each small win is proof that you can change your patterns and that the brain is able to change. Progress over perfection. Perfectionism is self-harming, so cut it out. As we close, I want you to feel empowered. Yes, empowered, even about something as frustrating as procrastination. Because now you have some insight into why it happens and how to tackle it. You have lightly recognized yourself in some of these stories and examples. I mean, basically called myself out multiple times, so I'm right there with you. Take that as recognition. Take that as a sign that we're in this together, figuring it out step by step. Maybe, after listening to this, you're feeling more motivated to go start the thing after you've been putting it off. If so, awesome. Go for it. Put on some music, set a timer, do the tiniest first step. You might be surprised at how that can ripple. Now, you're not alone. And remember that you're not alone in this struggle. You're not doomed by it. Procrastination might be a part of your ADHD journey, but it's not the destination. With understanding the right tools and a healthy dose of self-compassion, you can absolutely break free from the worst of the cycle. I'm going to leave you with this. Embrace your progress over perfection. I mean it when I said engrave it into your soul. Like I meant it. Every small step, every experiment with a new strategy, every time you choose to be kind to yourself rather than critical, that's breaking the cycle, and that's you growing. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me in this episode of Authentically ADHD. I hope that you found yourself laughing a couple times and maybe nodding along, and that you feel hopeful about tackling that procrastination in a new way. I know I had fun, and yes, I actually did not procrastinate finishing this script. What a miracle, because it's almost time for me to go get some Starbucks. If you enjoyed this or feel like somebody else might enjoy this, make sure you share it. And don't forget to subscribe or follow so that you're notified every time I drop a new episode where we navigate life with ADHD and with honesty and humor, because otherwise you might forget. I'd love to hear your thoughts or your own procrastination stories. Feel free to reach out on social media or email me, perhaps sometimes when you're not procrastinating, or hey, as a break from procrastinating on something else. Seriously, no judgment. Until next time, remember to be kind to your mind. You're doing the best you can, and you're getting better every day. Progress, not perfection. You've got this. That's all I have for now. Stay authentic, and we will talk soon.